Hey everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
And today we are going to be showing you a little bit about Cooper Island by Capstone Games.
Yeah, Capstone Games designed by Andreas Odendahl, also known as Oda, who is a designer. I've really appreciated his other big game, La Granja. This is a tight, crunchy, involved Euro game. I'm going to show you how it plays, not being able to detail every rule, but let's take a look. Welcome everybody out to Cooper Island. Let's take a look at the island here. This is the central area. There's 8 different sections for worker placement. And then each person has their own chunk of peninsula that's going to be in front of them that they're going to be doing some tile placement to build up the island. This is a setup for 2-player game, but the whole board is basically made out of these puzzle pieces so you can fit 2, 3, 4 players. You can even change the configurations to fit your table. This is how I'm doing it here. Let's talk about, this is a game that plays over 5 rounds, kept track here by this person going across the 5 ships for the game. We're going to mention the 4 main ways to score points, then I'll show you kind of what a turn looks like. The first of the 4 main ways to kind of score points is to build up these income boats that'll slide along here, which is going to be worth points shown by this helm, the steering wheel symbol, but it's also going to give you more income over the course of the game. The second main way to get points is to build and construct these buildings off of your player board, small, medium, and then the jumbo. And those get built out onto your peninsula. The third main way is to clear out some of the ruins that are over here. You take these and put it onto your player board here, and then you can later build them out onto your peninsula as statues. And then the last of the 4 ways is to fulfill these shipping contracts with gold and purple cubes. And once you do that, you'll score the points that are on there, and then yeah, so basically those are the 4 main things to do, and you'll see that they correspond here, because as soon as you accomplish any 2 of them, 2 income boats or 2 buildings, you'll be able to slide one of these over, and this is going to be opportunities to upgrade your workers. So that's kind of the big overview. Within 5 rounds, you're trying to accomplish all of that stuff. Let's show what a basic turn would kind of look like. Players will start the game with 2 workers in their color. Now this is all 1 player board section. Here you would imagine that there's a second one at the table, or 3 or 4 of them. And so the player is going to start by getting income. The player board is kind of a player aid right here. First the income phase, then the action phase, and then the cleanup. Income phase consists of any these first 2 starting things here, plus any ships, any of these boats that you might have constructed in this area over on the side. At the start of the game, players will get to place, or at the start of every income phase, players will get to place any one of these tiles that they want out. You'll see that they're 2-sided, so all 4 types of terrains are represented on every tile, just in opposite formations. So the first thing you might do is you might build this tile out there. When you build out a tile, you're going to put the corresponding resources out onto it. Pink food cubes, brown wood cubes go on these regions, and then of course if you built the other ones, the silver or gold will go on the mines, and then the brown city spaces will have purple cubes. One of the fun things about the game is that as you build higher up, you'll be able to get more. The cubes that are built on there are going to be worth more, and I'll show you what that means. The second thing that you do in your income phase is that you place out one of these tiles here along the side that are going to poke out over the edge into the water, and you'll see that they have water printed onto them. So for example, you know what, let's build this way for example purposes. So you're going to build this one out here. This shows that you can immediately either get a brown cube or a gray cube into your storage plus a pink one. So let's just do this. This is your storage here. It's limited to 5 spaces. As you build small buildings, you're going to unlock more of these spaces. Of course, this one over here also has to get a cube on it. On your first or second level of the mountain spaces, you're going to put out the metal, the iron cubes. As you get to 3rd level or higher, you can then start to find gold. So now we've done the 2 steps of the income phase, and then we'd go to the worker placement phase. You have 2 workers, which are circular discs that you'll be placing out onto the board, one at a time. You can't go into the square spots, you'll have to upgrade to square workers if you want to be able to do those, and those are just slightly better spots. So this spot over here gives you the first player token, Cooper, the dog. So these symbols here basically mean things like draw tiles from the bag or place a tile out onto the map. You'll see those symbols kind of repeated places. This one means to earn helm points, which can be used as bonus actions over the course of the game. This is how you construct buildings. This is how you clear out ruins or build statues. This one lets you fulfill the ship contracts. This one lets you build income boats. You'll see there's 4 basically kind of regular building up the peninsula actions, and then the 4 actions corresponding to the 4 main ways to get points. Boats and shipping contracts and so on. So now as you do this, as you put out your workers, you'll just go ahead and do whatever it says. So if I want to place out 2 tiles, I can build tiles out onto my map however I'd like. And then of course I take out the corresponding cubes and put it onto there. But the other thing that I'm allowed to do is I'm allowed to build up. So you have some storage space here on your board, so you can clear the cubes off of a space from here out into your storage, but you're hard limited to those 5 spaces. But now if I build, I can lay matching terrain types over matching terrain types. So I'm going to lay this mountain over mountain and food plane over food plane. I'm going to go ahead and put the corresponding types of cubes out there. But because this is on a second story of that same type of terrain, this 1 cube is worth 2 food. This 1 cube is worth 2 of the stone. So now I have 1 stone plus 2 stone, and then the other things around here. Basically, as you continue to take actions, you have to pay whatever costs. So if you want to build these income boats, you have to pay the costs here, including coins, including the different types of cubes. If you want to build up statues, if you want to fulfill these income contracts, you'll have to pay whatever the associated costs from your peninsula and from the section out here. Earning victory points is tracked by these 2 ships. You have a single sail ship and a double sail ship. As you earn victory points, you indicate this by moving it across one of these spaces. As you cross this little bonus that you put out, you get the effects of this again. Once when you put it out, a second time when you cross it. So you can get some food cubes and you can get some other resources, so on and so forth. Once all of your discs have been put out and you've done all of the associated actions with it, that's the end of the round and you'll do cleanup things. And so the cleanup phase, you have to feed your workers, which is why the pink food cubes are important. And then you earn points if you've built statues out, if you've built further out of your peninsula. You lose excess resources that you might be holding on to, and then you advance this 1 space. Now some small details. When you build the income ships, you earn points, which is one of the ways that you move your boats across here. When you build the statues, they have to go into this holding area, and so building your large buildings gives you more area to hold, and they will earn extra points for doing statues through those spaces. These helm points here, when you build tiles, allow you to utilize these single hexes. So if I wanted to build out here, I can't do that unless I spend some of my helm points to prop up with a single space, a single hex, that area, and then I can build across it. This is a really powerful action because it allows you to kind of level out the areas that you're balancing. Or if you want to build straight up higher, you can spend multiple helm points to outright build one of these onto a higher space and to earn more points. Now, as you build statues have to be built from your player board here onto the highest point of your island, onto an area that doesn't have cubes on it, so you have to be moving cubes around, and you also have to be shutting down your highest production, because remember, this space would be worth 3 food, but if I build a statue on top of it, I'm shutting down that production, and I can't build on top of this space anymore, but now I'm earning points at every upkeep phase because I have statues out. Same thing with buildings. If you build buildings, they have to go into your highest available open space. But if you build a small building, you'll draw 4 small building cards, which will all give you some sort of benefit, some sort of ongoing slight engine build. If you build one of your large buildings onto a space, it will give you one of these 4 large building cards, which are one-time actions, which are very important because you're limited by the number of discs that you have. As you complete these contracts over here, the shipping contracts, if you fulfill one of them, you indicate this by taking this small, awkwardly small cardboard piece and placing it here onto your board, because this is a bonus action that you have on your turn, where you can draw a tile from the bag, place a tile, earn extra of these bonus helm points, get money or cubes, and then you indicate this by putting the marker onto there. Later, of course, in the game, you can pay money to kind of undo these so that you have more bonus actions available to you. So these helm point bonus actions and these crate bonus actions are very important because you're limited with workers. As I mentioned, as you complete 2 of a given thing, if you have 2 income boats, then you can move this over and you can choose to either grab another circular worker or swap one of your circle workers for a square one. Now, if you have one of these workers here and you opt to change it out for a square one, you will take the previous circle and you'll put it onto one of these endgame scoring cards. These are things that you're trying to work towards, and only one person can go here at a time. So if you go here, you say, hey, at the end of the game, I bet that I'm going to have a ton of statues. If I have at least 3 statues, I'll earn 3 points at the end of the game. If I have all 5 of them built, I'll get 8 points. This one is for doing more of your shipping contracts. This one is for having almost all of your terrain spaces on your board covered up. And there are, of course, multiple ones. You'll only use 3 per game. There's a lot of rules to this game, of course, and little things like when you wreck the island, when you move every 5 points, you move one of your ships to these areas over here, you'll get to draw a small bonus, and then you'll get whatever the resources or victory resources or helm points and stuff are on there. If you fail to be able to pay for something when it happens, you'll take one of these -1 victory points and you'll lock it under either one of your ships. And next time that you go to earn a victory point, instead of moving the ship and therefore possibly earning more bonuses along the way, you'll simply just get rid of this anchor token. As your opponent puts some of these tiles out on the way over here, as you cross your opponent's of these bonus spaces, you also get those same benefits. So that's a quick idea of how to play Cooper Island. That should give you a good idea what the game's all about.
All right, so let's talk about Cooper Island. Like, this game makes me excited.
It makes you excited.
When I think about,
not just happy, excited.
Not just happy, but I'm like, oh, I want to play this again. Like, I already want to play it again.
You really like scoring like 28 points in a game?
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
You know what I mean?
And you smoked me.
I earned every single one of those points.
It's a really low-scoring game. You know, scoring is not terribly obvious, but I still feel like it's rewarding, though. A lot of games where like you're just struggling for points, I feel like sometimes why? But this one, every step is, in a good way, feeling like you earned it. Yeah,
every point that you get, you know you worked for it, and you know exactly how you got it. It wasn't just like I guess I'll go on this space, and I'll get a couple points here, and I'll do that and get a couple points there. Like, it's not that game.
Okay, the gimmick of when you score points, you move your ships around the board. Do you feel like that's just a gimmick, or do you feel like that's really like a valuable part of the game?
I feel like it has value. I also feel like it could just be superfluous, but the fact that you do move around and you can move to other people's locations and get their bonuses that they've set up, I think that there is merit to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's fun because you get one of those every income phase. And you're like, woo, I'm going to put out more of these little bonuses that I'm going to earn points and cross over them, get bonuses, which is going to let me accomplish more in my very short amount of turn.
Super short, tight game. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's too restrictive, or do you appreciate that having to overcome the stuff that's in there?
I think that's a good question. I think that if you go into it with a mindset of this is going to be a very tight game, I think it's more fun. When I initially played it and I was hearing all the rules, I was like, oh, this is a game I'm going to like. I like all of the mechanisms going on. And then we started playing and I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do anything. Like, this is... This is stressful. But if I had gone into the mindset, and as I did with later games, of it's going to be tight, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be fun, then I think it's super, super worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Like this is one that you played before me and you introduced to me, and as we were playing it, you kind of let me know. You had that expectation. Hey, this is not a game where you're going to score 80, 90, 150 points.
I think even the designer said like 35 points is like you've mastered the game. Like if you can get up there, you're like amazing.
Yeah, and you got awful close when I got like 16 points one game. But yeah, every ingredient of this is exciting to me. I love the idea of maps and building up your puzzles. I like the worker placement. I like that you can upgrade workers or get another worker, and that's a delightfully tough choice because you only have 2 workers per round. It might be it might be the 3rd round before you even earn an extra worker. So do you upgrade to the square, or do you just get a 3rd person to work?
Because my history with worker placement games says get more workers, but then do you get a stronger worker? And I think that it matters more with higher player counts too, because with a 2-player game, you get in each other's way a little bit, but in a 3 to 4-player game, like, you're always in each other's way. And so I feel like if you're later on in the line, then you're more likely to say, I need that, like, square worker because I have to pay every time I go to a space. Like, it's always taken.
It's enough of an interaction point that I feel like it matters. Unlike a lot of games where you're like, oh, pay someone a gold if you go to their spot. You're like, no, I earned every one of these cubes and I cannot give one to Wendy. You know, I like that. I like it a lot.
But your holds are so tight so that, like, getting a cube from you, I might not even want it. I like that you don't have it, but I might not want it.
The game verges on just on the cusp of being too restrictive for me. You know, you can only hold a few things at the top of your ship until you build buildings out of the way. You can only hold one statue at a time until you get stuff out of the way, you know, and you have almost no income. Like, putting out those little, like, put out a tile and then put out the islet is your only income every single round, unless you build the ships or build the boats or whatever.
Yeah, the income boats.
Oh, you know, it verges on the cusp of just too restrictive, but it also gives you enough to kind of open up the path a little bit and keep working.
I think what I like about it, so the hold space that you have, I think, is like 7 spaces. Like, it's very few things you can hold in your area and on your player board. But on the actual board, as you're building up vertically, that's the right word, right? Yeah. As you're building up vertically, as you're spreading out horizontally, like, your cubes on your land space become worth so much more. Oh, I have a 4 level with a pink cube on top. I have 4 food now instead of just 1. And I really like that. I like that you can leave it there and it's worth 4 if you spend it directly from there. Or you can put it in your hold so that you can build something on top of it, but now it's only worth 1. And it gets in the way because now you can't put other stuff in your hold.
Yeah.
I just think that's a very interesting puzzle. And I love the stacking, like the vertical, horizontal combination of how that all works and how you're puzzling it out with the helm points. Like the helm points.
Yes.
They're just like those bonus actions.
What I think is smart about the design is that those helm points are really important bonus or executive actions you can take on a turn, and they all deal with the island, the tiles that you're building up specifically, because that's such a core central part of the game.
Yeah.
And so it says, hey, here's these bonuses that you can work towards that. And I like when the bonuses feel very directly applicable to what you want to do. I want to build up that island, no matter what. And so I think that's smart design. It feels rewarding, like I said, in a game that needs you to feel rewarded if it's going to put you through the ringer like this one does.
Sure. How do you feel about the end game scoring objectives that you can claim?
Oh, once again, they're so tight, they're so hard to do. Unlike most games, you're like, I'm going to claim, 1 for every 2 buildings I've built. I've built 17 buildings, right? You might not even get
You might not succeed. You might claim the bonus and say, this is mine at the end of the game, and, like, get nothing from it.
And basically what I did was say, you can't do that one because you were too close to it, maybe, right?
Yeah.
There's a few points of randomness that I think are the biggest downsides of this game.
They frustrate me. They really do.
Yeah. A small example is whenever you reach every 5 victory point spaces you move a ship, you get to a port and you get a little bonus tile. And it might say get a cube, or it might say get a coin, or it might say get 2 cubes, or get something that you don't really need. And I feel like I wish the straight-laced person in me just wishes like it was choose a bonus.
Choose a resource of some sort, yeah.
Yeah. But instead, like, get a purple cube. Like, I really didn't need purple right now. Whereas you might get one that, like, perfectly fits your strategy.
Yeah, I needed a wood and a food, and you only got a wood on your turn.
Yeah.
But
I do question, is it truly inequitable, or does it just feel that way? Sometimes in a game you feel, oh, that's so unfair. But either way, it wouldn't have won or lost me the game. So I just have to temper that expectation in my mind.
But sometimes it feels like it would, because you're only getting 20 some odd points most games.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that is pretty random is every time that you build, I don't know if they're called cities or houses or...
The build is small or the large buildings.
Small or large buildings, there you go. You get cards. And those cards can really work towards your strategy, or they could be nothing. You could be like, this was pointless.
You draw 4, pick 1, so the odds are better.
They're in your favor, yeah.
Yeah, but you might just say none of these 4 really help. Yeah, I get a bonus action, but it was shipping, and I wasn't going a shipping strategy. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like those parts are what kind of affect the score a little bit for me because I really, really like this game. So final thoughts and actual ratings. I'm going to go ahead and give this game an 8.
Ooh,
I really
8.
recommend this game. It's so good, but like I said, you have to be okay with the fact that it's going to be tight and it's going to feel restrictive. Every little thing, like even when you build a statue or building, you have to build on your highest point. So you can't build up from there anymore. Right? I love it a lot. If it weren't for those moments of randomness, I think I would rate this game even higher. But still, this is a game I really recommend you check out if you can.
All right, so for me, I am going to give it 8.5.
Boo, boo, boo! 8.5.
The big moment. I think that, like he said, like the randomness frustrates me in the moment. But there's so much good about the game, and I love the decisions. I love the choices. There's so much good going on that it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun, and it's just really well made. And I think that the tightness shows how well it was designed.
Okay.
I just feel like it was a very good game.
There are games that sometimes feel restrictive for no reason. This one, it feels so...
Everything has a purpose.
So purposeful, yeah. So, and it is a game that, every time that we haven't played it for a little while, I look at it again, I think...
Fond memories.
I'm hankering to play that, even though I know it's going to frustrate me a bit. I do want to pull it out more. So, there you go. That's our thoughts on Cooper Island. Thank you so much for coming by the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yi.
And I'm Wendy Yi.
Have a great one.